Hey everybody, Stephen Wendy Backlund here, Igniting Hope Ministries. We are thrilled to be with you again on another YouTube live simulcast on Facebook as well. And Wendy, this is going to be a good one.
Yes, it is.
This is going to be a good one. And we're going to talk today about the culture of celebration. Now, I mean, we've heard Danny Silk wrote the book, the culture of honor. I wrote the book, the culture of empowerment. There's all kinds of other books, but the culture of celebration. I know this is a special thing to your heart. Why do you want to talk about this today?
Well, because unconsciously we celebrate something. And if our life seems heavy or depressive or like a failure, it's because we mark those things in our mind and in our heart. And I just wanted to read the meaning of the word celebration. It says the action of marking one's pleasure at an important event or an occasion by engaging in enjoyable, typically social activity.
Can you read that again?
The action of marking one's pleasure at an important event. And to me, that means taking note of your pleasure at a certain event or that something happened. And what I've noticed in my life is that my tendency used to be I would mark in my mind every moment that was hard or a failure or inadequate. But a culture of celebration marks the little moments, and it gives you a different view of your reality. Because then you've taken note of all the happy moments in your day instead of marking all of the negative moments in your day. It does something to us physically. So I just, you're distracting.
I know, I'm trying to do something. Keep talking.
Okay. So I just feel like it's something that I have to intentionally watch myself and take note of when I feel happy. You know, just like if you're driving and it's a sunny day and you all of a sudden just mark the fact that, oh, I feel really free. I feel good out in the sun. Mark that moment in your mind, because every one that you do builds a new vision of your life being happy rather than hard, if that makes sense.
Well, it's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It's and we're talking about the culture of celebration today. We welcome those who are jumping on right now. Claire, always good to see you. Shar, saw Angela on here. Let's see who. Paul Wynn. Oh, it's always good to have you with us. And it's intentional.
Yeah.
I mean, even it's thinking about we celebrate people's birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrate anniversaries, and there's something about we see it on our calendar, and where we adopt a certain mindset. Hey, we're here about this person.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's not about how I'm feeling today. We're here to celebrate, but you're kind of taking this culture of celebration. You're not waiting for a particular event. You're wanting it to be a lifestyle.
Yeah. And why wait until, like, if you're going through school, why wait until you graduate to celebrate? Why don't we start celebrating, our successes, the little steps, or, you went 3 days in a row really going after it. Instead of marking the fact that you fell one day, celebrate the 3 days you did do well. And then creating that culture first over yourself, and then creating it in your home where you celebrate people all the time. And I like to think that we do that well with Igniting Hope, where we're celebrating people, and letting them know that you're seen. We see that you're doing more right than wrong. It just creates an atmosphere, but also a place of growth when you're celebrated.
Yeah, I mean, there's Claire who's on here, and uh, she is constantly an encouragement to us and to Igniting Hope
Mhm.
courses and belief trainers, and we just celebrate Claire's positive
Yes.
influence
Mm.
in helping us become who we really are. And it does take eyes to see, because the tendency that we might have, because the under the spirit of perfectionism, we
Mm.
can't celebrate.
Yeah.
And the religious and perfectionistic mindset often marries, and it causes us to not want to focus on what's right, what's
Mhm.
doing, going well, because of a subconscious belief system that we will stop trying
Yeah.
on the areas that we need to improve on.
Yeah. And I think the best example is when a toddler is learning to walk, they fall down more than they actually take a step. But what do we do as parents? We celebrate the one step
Mm, we
because we know that that celebration causes them to want to keep trying. I mean, how many of us have potty trained their kids and we celebrate that they went to the bathroom? I mean, when you look at it, it's ridiculous, but we know what it does in the culture of celebration.
And it's a culture that we have for ourselves, but it's also a culture with family, with
Mhm.
organizations, church leadership teams, with our friends. And celebration's a big thing. I mean, it's getting excited. It's throwing a party. Throwing a party
Yeah.
for yourself, throwing a party for those in our organization. I remember, when we were leading different churches, and we still do it with our Igniting Hope team and others. Um, we would put people on the hot seat.
Mhm.
Let's say we had a leadership meeting and we'd take the last 5-10 minutes. Hey, before we go, let's have let's have Mary sit here and let's just tell her, let's celebrate her. Let's tell
Mhm.
her, what we appreciate about her, what we like about her. Let's mix it in with some prophecy if
Yeah.
we want. But that was one of the strongest things that we would do
Yeah.
for connectivity, for people feeling seen and valued. It's really good.
Yeah. It's a reminder of why these people are in our life, because the enemy wants to, focus in on the negative. But everybody has a positive. We just have to train ourselves to look for it and to, for me, even when you think about throwing a party for somebody, you might throw a party for somebody you love, even though you don't feel like it.
Hmm.
It has nothing to do with feelings. It's just they deserve to be celebrated. So it's in our culture to throw a party for somebody's whose birthday it is or an anniversary. No matter how you feel, you do it. Why can't we do that for so many other things until we've created a culture where people just come into our midst and all of a sudden they feel like celebrating people, because that's what a culture does. It creates its own atmosphere. It becomes an atmosphere that you don't even have to teach it anymore. People just walk in and they come under it.
They do. Dana put in here, yes, yep, I celebrate when my pup goes potty outside. We get that. Sherry, good to have you on here. Shar, why don't you, if you're on the live uh, version of our doing this, why don't you put in the chat something that you're celebrating about yourself, something that you are just excited about you, and you're
Mm.
doing well, or you're growing, or and we'd love to have that interaction, because it is I mean, the opposite of a culture of a celebration is just really a culture of heaviness. It's a culture of just having poor beliefs about ourselves, poor beliefs about the people.
Culture
Uh,
of
yeah,
criticism.
yeah, criticism, condemnation, and Suzanne says she's here. I don't know if she's celebrating that she's here,
We
but
celebrate
it's,
Suzanne's here.
that you're here. And I think even about worship services in church, and one of the things that sometimes is so missing in worship services is the celebration, is the thanksgiving, is the joy, is that having fun together. And because I think about Miriam, they go through the Red Sea, and they get to the other side. I mean, they're dancing, they're wild dancing, uh, and yet we want to transfer that over to the other side of the Red Sea as well, and celebrate, because it is I believe it's an overflow. If we overflow it with God, about and partner with what He's doing rather than focusing on what we think He's not doing, then it's going to overflow in our own lives. And just the Jewish people are a celebrative people. And we need more of that.
We really do. And the more physical you can get with the celebration, the more powerful it becomes and begins to affect our emotions. And so, I mean, it can start out as something that you're just intentionally adding to, but it will eventually change the very fabric of your brain. Because celebration does something to your brain that's very positive, just like a lot of negative thinking we all know now actually creates black spots in your brain. So if that's true in the negative, what happens to our brain and to us physiologically if we do a lot of celebration? I just challenge somebody to experiment with over the top celebration of yourself, your life,
Over
other
the top.
people. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you like to know what would happen?
Got some comments here, and let's see. Rita, you said you're talking about, churches having their eyes closed, accepting the Lord. You've got a heart to see people get excited about it. All right, we like that. Dana, you celebrate replacing lies, strongholds of biblical truths. You've been finding lies much quicker, and this is worth celebrating.
Yeah.
Oscar, you say you're excited about your perspective and beliefs growing so much this year. Really, just so good. Claire says, look yourself in the mirror and say all the good things about yourself. Celebrate. And Tom, good to see you on here. You're a high level celebrator as well. Shars, you're celebrating reading. Let's just laugh at that each evening. Oh man, that's a good one to celebrate. I think about, the story of the prodigal son and the father, and the prodigal comes home in Luke 15, and he the father throws a party, but the elder brother said, I'm not going in. I'm not celebrating. I'm going to stay. I'm going to distance myself from this, because I don't think you guys deserve to be so happy.
Yeah, he probably thinks that the prodigal son should have been sent to the corner just to think about how bad he had been.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the prodigal son's father, who represents the Heavenly Father, I say, yeah, I kind of, as a father thing, I'm tempted to say, son, you got to learn your lesson. And I'm sure
Mhm.
there's lessons to be learned, but this story is given to us for a purpose of celebrating when people are coming back and celebrating uh, just the beginning point of somebody saying, I want to change. I'm going to change. I'm
Yeah.
back.
And to go back to that whole thing about why we celebrate a toddler's one step is because it keeps them moving, it gives them momentum. So the prodigal son, if the father would have said, well, you need to learn your lesson. I'm glad you're back, but you need to think about, how bad you'd been. You actually have robbed them of their strength to continue their forward movement. We
Yeah.
think it's better for them to think about how bad they were, when actually there is more power in celebrating their one step forward. But sometimes it's scary to celebrate somebody because we'll think, well, maybe they'll think they're okay and they don't need to continue changing. But we need to get rid of that old thinking and realizing the celebration actually gives them the courage to keep going, especially if they fall again.
Yep. We celebrate that step when it doesn't appear they are a walker,
Yeah.
and where it seems hard. And again, the elder brother mindset is opposed to celebration. It's opposed to celebration because the elder brother mindset is fixated on what's
Yeah.
wrong,
Mhm.
fixated on what's not right. Where the father mindset is fixated on what is right. And it's just a thought. I've got a friend in San Diego, Robert Herber, who wrote the book the Partying God. The Partying God. And I'll just throw that out there. Robert Herber, the Partying God. Somebody's gonna that was for somebody there. So Wendy, we move forward in this, because my definition of joy is childlike wonder and excitement of working with God instead of for God. And it is a constant celebration. It's a constant uh, just okay. Wow, Lord, I'm just so excited. I can't wait to see what you're going to do. I can't wait to see what you're going to do in this situation. It's delighting uh, in the Lord. And really, sometimes it feels irresponsible. And, then you're going to have the yeah, but people. Yeah, but, you got to still be working on your stuff. Again, what I like about this is that this creates a culture, and like the father, I'm sure the father with the prodigal had some conversations.
Mhm.
I'm sure they talked about some deep stuff. But the beginning point was, no, we're going to create this culture in you that's going to celebrate you, because that's what we want you to first experience with me.
Yeah. And I think it'd be an interesting way to go about this, because obviously we can't just stop and celebrate, in the middle of the store when something hits us. So I think it'd be an interesting experiment to write down in the midst of your day 3 things that you're going to mark on a piece of paper or on your phone real quick that you're going to celebrate at the end of the day. Because when I read that definition of celebration, what I was hit by was the word, it's marking something.
Mm.
And, just like an animal will mark a tree. Well, we want to mark the moments of our life that we want to remember, and stop marking all the negative ones that we don't really need to remember. So write it down or mark it in your mind. And then at the end of the day, recall 3 things every single day that you can celebrate about yourself or about your life?
Mm, love that. Paul, you said, I celebrate this morning. The Holy Spirit spoke to me about doing my Holy Spirit walk in a different place. I went to that place. At the end of my walk, there was a lady who was really, all right, let me try to find this, discouraged. I was able to speak hope. And, I love that. We celebrate your listening to Holy Spirit. We celebrate that about you, Paul, that you're not a man of ruts and routines that are so rigid. And one of the things I do in my morning time is I write down things that I celebrate about me. And, just I think about the day before, and we can all, I mean, again, I can think of areas. Yep. Need to improve that. Yep. But it's a focus on, okay, what am I fixated on? And so at first it was very difficult for me even to identify something that I could celebrate. But now I really see, wow, no, I leaned into that relationship. Now, when I was golfing with my family, I was all there with them, enjoying myself. I was generous over here when there was this need, and Wendy and I, we both felt to give to that. Where we celebrate our giving to that, and it's in that identification and literally just stirring it up and getting excited. That was good job, Steve. Good job, because I I teach on leadership, and I say, okay, the great leaders have great beliefs, great priorities, and great habits, and the most important person we lead is ourselves. And these great habits, this is a great habit. This is to, okay, what am I doing right? What's going right in me? It's going to break off old religious condemnation mindsets. And I just see, even people watching right now, there's somebody who's watching this, who's going to take this truth and is going to do some experimentation on it, like Wendy said, whether it's the three things or having your list. You're going to create you're going to create a culture of celebration that's going to be exported around the world.
And I think although we can celebrate all the little moments of our life, it's especially important when you're trying to go higher in an area, whether it's in your eating or in your prayer life or in the amount of Bible you're reading or relationship wise, whatever you intentionally are trying to grow in, that's the area you need to celebrate the most in. Celebrate that, you did better than the day before, or you didn't stay down as long as you usually do after you fail, or just celebrate that you're still trying. You still keep getting back into the game, even though it seems like you have more failure than success. Celebrate the fact that you're still in the game, that you haven't just said, I'm not even going to try anymore. Find something to celebrate about, uh, you know, obviously all the time, but especially in an area that you're trying to improve in.
The culture of celebration. It's a secret sauce, and to healthy leadership teams, healthy organizations, taking time for appreciation, taking time to have employees of the month. Our grandson, he works for a local pizza uh, uh, business here in the Redding, California, and he was employee of the month last month. And it's those little things. Somebody said it's just kind of cheesy. No, it meant a lot to him. It meant a lot. He's kind of trying to maybe to pretend it doesn't mean a whole lot, but no, it meant a lot to him to be recognized. Uh, to to pardon for yourself. I think, there's been a lot of pardons going on, Tom, in the last few days. Apart, yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Another thing that we do for birthdays, and even like our oldest grandson has a girlfriend now, so now she expects this too. But when we have dinner together for our birthday, we go around the room and everybody has to say one or two things that they most appreciate about the person whose birthday they're celebrating. And so I was thinking about that, and when you said employee of the month, and I thought, why don't we ever have family member of the month? Or, even though they may not continue that as a family heritage, it marks them. It will mark them.
It will. And Kate, great to have you here from the UK. And let's see who else we got. Yeah, just Rita, so glad that the Lord has been with you in a challenging time. And, just for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's kind of like I teach in the culture of empowerment that as a leader, who we believe we're talking to determines the level of empowerment in our words. And it's you think about even the prophetic culture and that where we prophesy to people, and where we really, when we are preparing to prophesy, we really look at them through the Spirit. We look at, help me see this person from your perspective. Help me to know, okay, what you're doing in their life. Help me to partner with what you're doing. Help me to really see people, because that's really the purpose of leadership. Again, you move from an elder brother mindset to a father mindset. The elder brother mindset isn't seeing them for who they really are. They're just seeing them according to their experience and but the father mindset really sees, and it's in that, and that, great parents really see, we need to see each other, because the people we're most familiar with, we whether it's family, whether it's ministry teams, or then we tend to grow dull, and we continue, or we tend to not celebrate one another, and no, we can't, where we're going, we can't take that tendency with us.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we unconsciously sometimes have poor beliefs about people, and we don't want to celebrate them because deep inside we don't believe they want to change. What would happen if every time a baby fell, we thought, well, you just don't want it bad enough.
Yeah.
You don't really want to walk. Just because someone keeps failing at what they're trying to do differently doesn't mean they don't want to change. It just means they're having to fight a battle. And in the midst of their battle, they need us to encourage them. You can do this. I know you want to. That kind of a belief system for people. Celebrate the fact that they're trying and they keep getting up. So
this has been a good one. The culture of celebration. We bless you with a culture of celebration over yourself. If you're married, over your marriage, your family, your loved ones, a culture of celebration with your friends, of celebrating who they are. And it really, it's a focus of where our eyes are looking outward. This is really what the culture celebration is, because healthy people have their eyes looking upward, thanking God, trusting God, have their eyes looking outward, thanking people, seeing people. And we know we're talking to people who are going to another level. You're already,
Mhm.
so many of you are celebrate people. You're high level celebrators, and you are going to another level. And you're a thermostat, not a thermometer, as Claire
Yeah.
wrote earlier. And yes,
Wow.
Tom, you've got some increase in your family, 2 weddings and another baby
Yeah.
this year.
Wow.
All right. Hey, thanks so much. We've got some wonderful things that we're doing our annual Negativity Fast Positivity Feast coming up in February. We have a online marriage event in February as well, and a course called Stewarding Personal Revival that's happening in February. We got a lot. So ignitinghope.com. You can find us. You can sign up for our newsletter if you're not connected with us and you want more. I do a weekly podcast, weekly blog, and more. Thanks.
All
All right.
right.
Yeah. Bless you,
Yeah.
Sherry. Thanks for being on here. Thanks, everybody, for
Bye.
joining us on this particular YouTube.